Good evening, everyone. The reason why I'm making this video is because I really feel like I have to make this video. And this is basically what I have this YouTube channel for, to express my views and my thoughts, which I urgently want to get out sometimes. And today we are going to talk about a very hotly debated topic, which is basically LGBT movement, LGBT symbolism in working class movement. And we all know currently it's Pride Month, and I used to be a big supporter of, you know, um, I, I'm not against it now, of course, against gay people and all of that, but I am against all this symbolism. I'll just get right into it. I'm against using symbolism, this LGBT symbolism, having pride flags at a working class rally, or having stuff like this, like, oh, we need fully automated luxury gay space communism, and anyone which is against this, anyone which has conservative views but still thinks that socialism is a good alternative to capitalism, feels automatically off-put by this. And I mean, it's not much different from, I mean, like, Marxism clearly is anti-religion. We know that. We know it. It's, my cat scratched my nipple. Don't ask how it happened, but it hurts. That's why I'm covering here. So, Marxism is anti-idealistic, it's materialist, and there's dialectical materialism and all of that. And it teaches how religion was made, and how religion was used as a tool, and how it was in the past used as a way to explain phenomena, fantastic things which didn't make sense at the time. But again, we don't attack people. I mean, I don't. Normally, if you're a socialist, you don't attack people if they are religious, do we? Not really. I mean, if it goes into their Marxist work, and they, for instance, I don't know, write some bullshit like, oh, God will give us the power, and through God's power we'll achieve that, then yes, then it is becoming a problem. But if you're staying materialistic in your analysis and all of that, then I don't think it is a problem. And staying dialectical, of course. But, I mean, how is this different from people which have conservative views on should gay people be allowed to adopt children, should be allowed to do that? Like, I mean, it's not much different. And of course, as a socialist, you should be for every person to have the same rights. That should be something you aspire for. But again, that doesn't mean that you have to run around with LGBT symbolism. One moment. So I'm not sure how long I actually was now on pause, but I'm just going to repeat myself. And I'm going to say again, you don't have to organize around certain identities. You can organize around working class. Trans people are just as included. One moment. There we go. Trans people are just as included in the working class as straight people, or gay people, or ace people. Like, they are a worker too. And sure, they may not be muscular and have a hammer in front on their shoulder, But yes, they are a worker too. And you can organise around being a worker. You can organise around economic issues. Marxism is mostly about economic issues. It's not about identity politics. And I don't think it really ever was. I mean, of course, again, until the synthetic left came around and started criticizing culture and used some sort of Marxism and then fucked it up in some way. So it, like Herbert Marcuse, which literally worked for the CIA, you can look that up. Like, organize around the working class, about being a worker. Organize around working class issues. You can, and this time I'm hopefully not on pause. No, I'm not. Okay. You can still address the problems of trans people, like bullying and all these things, in a working class party or movement. You don't need to treat these people separately. Sure, if they have like a personal issue, you can talk about it and all of these things, but that's with everyone. But I don't think it really makes sense walking around with all this trans symbolism, walking around and talking about gay space communism. Like, what if I'm socially conservative and I hear this? Then I think, oh, so you want to make everyone gay? Oh, so you want to abolish being straight? Oh, so you, like, they're going to get strange ideas, especially if you have the actual right wing walking around saying that the left wants to make everyone gay, wants to abolish family, and wants to make everyone trans, and wants to make your kids trans. This is not going to sound very inclusive now, does it? No, this is not inclusive, because you are alienating average people or socially conservative people. And I mean, there is a case to be made here. There really is. And yes, you could say that what I'm doing now is saying, oh well, I want to exclude all the LGBT people, which were in the past always excluded. And no, I'm not saying that. I am saying that you don't need all of this symbolism. You don't need to start gendering all your text and handing out leaflets with gendered text so it suits a minority. And I mean, this whole thing about gendering text, that's a completely different subject, which in my view was created by anarchists, because you know anarchists, they in their fringe group, they're gonna write a gender star. And yes, they already did that in the 80s and such. But again, the 80s and the 60s and the 70s, what was that? That was the new left. That was the new left. And honestly, I think Lenin is rotating in his grave. He would be rotating so much if he knew what was going on. Because I don't think that's right. I really, really don't think that's right. I don't think you should exclude people just because they are socially conservative. I can even work with people which think abortion is a bad idea. Okay, maybe you think abortion is a bad idea. I can work with you because I want to change the economics and you want to change the economics. And what happens in the end is decided by the people as a whole. It's not decided by me or him. And I don't think that working class parties or groups should even get involved with this entire pride thing. I really don't think that this is worth it. You're going to exclude so many people because most of the people don't believe that there's more than two genders. This is a minority. It is a minority of trans people. It's not a majority. You are excluding most of the people just because you disagree with them. And I think that's utterly stupid. And I mean, in the movement, they will realize that these trans people, etc., are working class people. Just like, for instance, in the Irish, the IRA, where they started take up all the anti-British people, and in the movement they realized that it isn't actually the British which are the problem, but it is British colonialism which is the problem. And they started to realize that within the movement. And I'm pretty sure that this will be the same thing, not with trans people, of course, but you know what I mean. Like, even Mao said, I'm gonna get out this quote just for you. And this time I won't talk on pause like last time. Here we go. As for people who are politically backward, communists should not slight or despise them, but should befriend them, unite with them, and convince them and encourage them to go forward. The attitude of communists towards any person who has made mistakes in his work should be one of persuasion in order to help him change and start afresh, and not one of exclusion unless he's incorrigible or corrigible. I don't know how to say that last word. So even Mao here is saying that you shouldn't just cast away all conservative workers, but you should try to include them. And I think that's correct. You should try to include them. And what are you doing when you're doing this? Are you trying to include the conservative workers? I think not. No, you're excluding people. You're excluding a lot of people. Imagine Karl Marx in the 1800s walking around with all this trans symbolism and promoting his radical working class ideas. Especially during a time where even racism was very rampant and normal and accepted. I mean, it's less accepted now, of course. How do you think most of the people would have reacted during that time? Do you think they would have listened to him? Do you think they would have made the Paris Commune and all of these things? Or do you think that they thought that Karl Marx is a bit of a crazy? Walking around with all this trans symbolism, LGBT symbolism, talking about how gay marriage and blah blah blah. Ask yourself, that's it. That's what I had to say. Really, think about this. Do you really think it's a good idea to incorporate all this LGBT symbolism and do exactly what the liberals, what the libtards, what the shit libs are doing? You know, walking around with LGBT flag. Yay, Pride! Yay, we have to change our profile picture to some LGBT flag. Yay, we start gendering all the fucking text, because everyone is going to agree with that, especially because it's a minority. Again, it's a minority, it's not a majority. I mean, if you want to, and this is also what I criticize with these people walking around with working class symbolism. If you want to reach working class people, I personally don't think it's clever to walk around with communist symbolism. I really don't. But that is up to you. But if you think that you can reach conservative workers with walking around like this, then I think there's something thoroughly wrong with your strategy and your praxis. Because you're not going to reach like this conservative workers, which is the majority. You're not going to reach them. You might reach some other communists which also believe in these things. You know, believe in walking around with LGBT symbolism and incorporating it in your speech and in your text and everything, you're going to reach these people. If you walk around, and I'm sorry, but I'm also going to criticize the Workers' Party, the Communist Party Britain, Marxist-Leninist. If you walk around with pictures of Stalin and Lenin and Mao and hammer and sickle and red flags and wear a red star on your head in public and talk about, the Russian Revolution and blah, 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 who are you going to reach? You're going to reach people which are interested in communism, which is usually students. But they're not going to like the Stalin, and they're going to complain because they're mostly Trotskyist. At least that's here where I live. That's the way here. So you have to ask yourself, who do you want to reach? Do you want to reach exclusively trans supporting, LGBT friendly? Like, I'm not saying you have to reach LGBT hating people, but what I am saying is people which are socially conservative should also be reached. I think that's important. And walking around like this, if you want to reach trans, basically communists which see themselves as trans people, then you're doing it right. Then yeah, do that. If you want to reach workers, don't do this. Don't do this. Stop it. Stop it. Seriously, just stop it. Because again, it's enough. It's just enough. It's enough to organise around working class power. You don't need to organise around everything else. And I would completely disagree with some of my American friends, but I think this poster is right. You don't need black power, you don't need white power, you need workers' power. And I don't even think the socialist industrial union still exists. But you hopefully get the gist. Organise around working class power. Organise around workers. I think that is a good idea. Because everyone is a worker. I'm a worker. Most likely, you're a worker. Trans people are most of the time workers. I would even say the majority is. And actually most of the communists are actually also workers. So you got those. Okay, check. So we got LGBT people, mostly workers. Trans, okay then. Yeah. Trans people, also workers. Communists, also workers. Workers, obviously workers. So you're not excluding anyone. And even socially conservative people are here and in many other parts of the world also workers. So why do you have to exclude people through this stuff? I don't know. I really don't know. So yeah, this is why I'm not celebrating Pride Month and celebrating, the Pride, we have to be so proud. I'm proud to be part of the working class, and I think that's enough. And you should think that it's enough. It's enough. You don't need anything else. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like. Go fuck yourself if you want to walk around like this and exclude everyone. Have a good night. And don't forget to comment and subscribe. And share on various social media.